What's happening? Let's talk about the regional that's happening tomorrow in Stuttgart. First, let's talk about the deck everyone's been talking about, Snorlax Stall. I do not think this deck is going to do as well as it did in the last regional. Why? Because people are now prepared. Everyone is going to be sticking that Minior in their deck. And I think they've been practicing. And even if you don't have it, which you should, I think people are building their decks around to make sure they have an attacker, or just put down your attackers so you can't be bossed up, and then you hope they don't play that Erica's Invitation when you got a Pokemon in your hand or the Echoing Horn, and try to take your knockouts before they get you stuck in the active. I do want to talk about Iron Valiant EX. I think so many people have tried it, have not found the right combo, because the Entei Iron Valiant surprised everybody, but I think it is not going to do that well in this tournament. And probably the most consistent deck that's always been in the top 8 recently is going to be your Charizard EX. We've all figured out how to play it a little bit better given the Arvinzard variant. So I'm sure we're going to see at least one of these Charizard EXs in the top 8. It's been consistently finished high in the tournaments, and there should be at least one, possibly two, in the top 8. This brings me to Miraidon. With all the success at Worlds and then winning a regional, people are starting to finally jump on the bandwagon. I think there's going to be a lot of Miraidon played. Maybe not as much as the last one, but there's been a lot of different lists floating around. And I think there'll be at least one in the top 8. This brings me to one of the decks that a lot of people play and a lot of people consider the BDIF right now. I'm talking about Gardevoir EX. It's got all these one prize attackers that hit for giant numbers, and just when you think you're winning, it makes a comeback using reversal energy and staying alive because you have to hit out their attacker, which is only worth one prize and you can never catch up. But it has not had real success lately finishing in the tournaments. It's played a lot, but the conversion rate is not that great. I think there are way too many counters for this deck to be successful right now. So I'll be honest, I do not think there's going to be a Gardevoir EX in the top 8. Now, Gardevoir has been around in the meta for a little while. The new one is going to be towards Lost Box. I honestly think there's going to be somebody who copies the deck list card for card and maybe makes one or two changes at most and brings it to the top 8. I don't know if he's playing, and if he is, I don't know if he's playing that same deck, but I would not be surprised seeing one in the top 8 given how good it really is. And this brings me to another Lost Box, which when Scarlet and Violet started, everybody was jumping on the Lost Tina bandwagon, thinking it's the BDIF. However, it really hasn't had success in any of these big tournaments. Well, I think that changes with Stuttgart. Not only do I think it's going to make it top 8, I think it's going to be in the top 4. If somebody picks the right 60, I think it's going to be Giratina, also with a Roaring Moon, making it to the top 4. And speaking of Roaring Moon, by itself, putting 3 or 4 Roaring Moon into deck, I do not think it's going to make a top 8. Yes, it is an absolute fast attacking deck, kind of like Miraidon. However, using the Frenzied Gouging too early, with all these decks dropping damage counters, taking multiple knockouts on Roaring Moon EX by itself in a deck will not make the top 8. And this brings me to an oldie but a goodie, Arceus V-Star. I am not sure if somebody has the guts to bring Arceus V-Star to a regional, but I really hope it happens, because this brings me to my wild card prediction. I think we are going to see the Pokemon that we have not seen before in a top 8. I think in the top 8, we will have a deck that has Toedscruel EX. So will it be in an Arc Pile deck? I mean, that's how I would play it if I was going to bring it. However, maybe we finally see a grass deck make the top 8. But I honestly think somebody's going to play a 1-1 to block all these Roaring Moon and Giratinas and keep it on the bench. So when we tune into Stuttgart, keep an eye out for that Toedscruel EX. And this brings me to the final deck. I know there's not going to be a lot of fans of this pick, but Mew VMAX is going to be my pick to win Stuttgart Regionals. And I think it's going to be the fusion build. And why do I think that? Because I think there is going to be an enormous amount of Spiritomb running around. So in order to combat that, whoever brings that fusion energy is my pick to win the tournament. Let me know what you think about my predictions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to bring you a new deck tomorrow.